If you guys would like to buy coins, you can go to MMOXP.com. There will be a link in the description. They are the cheapest and safest option. You can use my code JFC at checkout for a 5% discount. Well, guys, I think there actually is some hope for FC26. And you might be thinking, why would you say that now? What makes you so sure when we are in December 2024 and FC25 clearly has sucked massive, I can't say that word in the first 30 seconds? Well, there's a very big reason why I think that it could be much improved from this year, and we're going to talk about that today. And it's a thing I think EA have been planning for quite some time. So, okay, well, thank you for being here, of course, on the second channel. If you guys don't know, if you've ever been here before, I basically just upload whatever I'm thinking about on this channel, like just random shit that I decide to talk about and think you guys might find interesting. So if you're here, thank you. And let's talk about this, because you might say, is it the open world? Like, who cares about the open world coming? I completely agree. The open world is not the reason why FC26 has any hope at all. I think the open world part means absolutely nothing to me, and it's probably going to mean nothing to you after the novelty wears off. And it's not even confirmed to be in FC26, by the way. The only thing EA said was that it's in development, coming in some future FC title. We know it is going to be a thing similar to the My NBA 2K Park, right? Interact with community and friends, use your own custom player, like an avatar, you know, that kind of thing. This is not the reason why I think there's hope here. The reason why I think there's hope here, and just kind of for gaming in general, is that Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out this year, 2025. The trailer that has 227 million views right now, by the way. What's the last bit of the trailer say? Coming 2025. Take-Two's revenue projection for 2025 is $8 billion. It's projected by experts to make nearly $2 billion in the first week of release. It's going to be one of the best-selling pieces of media in history within 7 days. Grand Theft Auto 5 is the best-selling piece of media, gaming, movie, whatever you want to say. It's the best-selling thing ever. And that $2 billion prediction in 7 days is conservative. GTA 5 sold 1 billion worth of copies in 3 days. The reason you don't project that out towards a week, like, oh, if it was 1 billion in 3 days, why would it not be 2 billion in a week? Because of pre-orders, right? So most of that sale comes on the first day, and after that, it's like not as much. Basically, this projection says they're going to double that, right? Gaming companies have been well aware of GTA 6 coming out in 2025, probably since the beginning of 2023, right? This trailer came out in December 2023, over a year ago now, by the way, which is kind of crazy. You would assume if they had some insider knowledge, you'd maybe say early 2023, they would have maybe known that this is probably coming out in 2025. So EA know damn well their product has to be, I mean, it needs to be exceptional. Their game comes out around the time GTA does. GTA and Red Dead Redemption both came out in the September and October time range, right? This is literally prime EAFC time. And to me, this is just an absolute speculation, right? Just pure speculation here. Remember when we got the news of like what the new features of FC25 are going to be? We were sitting here thinking like these were probably the least amount of new features we've maybe had in at least that we can all remember, I feel like, and in at least a long time. It felt like there just really wasn't a whole lot here. And of course, there's no proof of this, but to me, what makes a lot of sense is in 2023, when you're making this game, you're thinking, okay, we have got to rival the biggest game release in history. We know that's coming out sometime. We have got to have a plan for that. If you're a billion-dollar company and you don't have a plan for the GTA 6 timeframe already, you are light years behind and you are going to crumble and you will not meet your revenue goals come GTA 6 release. You are not going to. If you've not had a plan already, you are already so far behind. So it makes a ton of sense actually as to why, oh, the features this year actually, there weren't that many, because next year we probably are going to see a lot of new features, would be my guess. Now, there is also a slight problem that could happen here in that, you know, we have seen, if you've been watching my main channel, we've talked about how sometimes it feels like when EA are trying to compete with the release of a game, say BO6 when that came out, say UFL, right? We didn't actually see that much increase in good content, it felt like. It felt like they didn't even try to compete with it. From the articles I've read, there is a bit of a sentiment where it's like publishers aren't even going to attempt to compete with it. They're not even going to try and spend that extra money to like actually give it a run for its money at all, because they know they can't. So they might just chalk the whole year up and be like, hey, we're not going to be able to do much this year in terms of our record profits we see on a year-to-year basis. This year might just not be that, but next year we'll be back, and we don't have to make that much of a change because we just accept that this year's not going to be great for us. There's a chance for that. Competitors showing reluctance to challenge its market dominance, right? There is a chance that that happens. There is widespread recognition that GTA's position in gaming is virtually unassailable. Now, of course, if you're asking me, I would doubt that EA actually do that. My guess would be we're going to actually see like probably the most features that we've seen in a new FC coming up this year would be my guess. Because when do we start hearing about new features in a FIFA game? You would say it's around July we start to hear that stuff. If there's a guaranteed release date for Grand Theft Auto and it's around, say, the middle of September, middle of October, something like that, the amount of hype that will be going on just a couple months before is going to be massive. They have to somehow compete with that. They have to drop, they have no choice but to drop stuff that makes the FIFA fan base go, FIFA is worth playing this year. We're gonna be playing GTA, but FIFA is actually worth playing. They have got to release something that makes us think that. Now, whether that's like 2K25's Park, where it's like ride go-karts, play volleyball in the city, fuck, please, I hope not, because if you played 2K at all, you know, the city is filled with just nonsense. So let's hope it's not like that, but keep in mind, this is just pure speculation here. My guess would be FC25 new features looked like this because simply they know that they are competing with the biggest media release of all time in 1 year. That's just my guess. Let me know what you think of that. Maybe they think the overlap just isn't enough to care. Maybe they aren't even going to bother trying to, like I said, put up a fight. They're just gonna lay it back and just take it and hope that 2027 is better. There's a possibility of that, right? But of course, there's also been rumors that GTA 6 won't release right on time. Now, Take-Two had an earnings call in November where they said that GTA 6 was on track to release in autumn 2025. So it's going to happen, guys. I think, to me, there was no way in hell that this game and FC26 are not partly because they really want to ramp up next year. So I think that was one of the reasons why this year feels a bit stale, and they can't tell us that because we're never going to have open communication like that ever. That would never be something they would do. Now, an interesting thing you can do as well is look at the Steam charts for FC25 compared to FC24 and see what the player count looks like, right? Because the only information we have to see any sort of a trend on player count is just the Steam charts, and that's it. You pretty much have to ignore the exact number because that basically means nothing. It's not counting the EA app. It's not counting all the console players, obviously. The only thing we can look at is kind of seeing what the trends look like in terms of the player counts, right? Well, the peak player count in the last 30 days here was actually 85,567. We go back to FC24, the peak player count in all of last November was 68,000. So according to the Steam charts, there's actually a pretty big difference in the peak player count in November of this year compared to last year. There's a lot more players. Now, the interesting thing, though, is that there's a 20% loss between October and November, whereas last year that was an 11% loss. So if you conclude that these trends sort of follow what the trends would look like on other platforms as well, it seems like this game actually probably sold better than the last one did, but more players tended to quit playing sooner. Minus 19% compared to a minus 14%, right? And we don't have the December numbers yet, but it'll be curious to see where all of that ends up comparing the two. Now, that's kind of a random side note to what the video is mainly about here, but I don't know, guys. Is this cope? Is this just pure copium I'm sniffing right now, sniffing the good shit? Or do you think that this maybe there's some truth to this where they really are thinking about the future, and that's why we've got FC25, whatever the fuck this game is? But of course, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I think that's all for me. I love you all. I'll see you next video. So peace.